evaluation system. We will discuss how young and emerging evaluators shape and develop national evaluation systems. The second part will focus on how national evaluation systems can continue to respond to government decision-making needs during periods of crisis or violence. So again, I want to remind everybody that the interpretation is available in Portuguese, Spanish, and French. And without further ado, let me introduce the first speakers who will open the session. A very warm welcome to Isabelle Mercier, the Director of UNDP Evaluation Office. Welcome, Isabelle. And she will be followed by Dugan Fraser, the Program Manager of the Global Evaluation Initiative. And then we will pass the microphone to Richard Jones, Evaluation Advisor at UNDP IEO. Thank you very much all for participating and have a great session. Isabelle, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. I'm very pleased to be welcoming you to this webinar, which takes place a year after the National Evaluation Capacities Conference in Turin, as we all know as NEC. NEC conferences have a long history and have been convened every 2 years since 2009. While every NEC conference had an important theme, the one in Turin was special in that it was convened right at the end of the COVID pandemic, which showed us the fragility of SDG gains made in the last decade. It would therefore come as no surprise that the conference was formulated around the resilience of national evaluation systems in the face of crisis. The resilience of national evaluation systems, therefore, but also the essential role these systems play in strengthening the resilience of our societies, especially in the face of crisis and a backslide in human development. With this event, we would like to bridge the 2-year time span between conferences and to drive the conversation towards the next NEC in 2024. In line with the central theme of the NEC conference itself, we wanted this webinar to underline one of the central premises of the Turin Agenda, which is that national evaluation systems need to consider fragility and resilience in all aspects of evaluation planning and implementation, including how evaluations can contribute to peace building and rehabilitation. We have seen through GEI network countries that many governments have built national evaluation systems under disaster and conflict situations and have been able to respond to crises. What we can learn from them as the frequency of crisis and disaster increases in the years to come. What are the successful examples to be emulated? How can we reinforce those capacities through GEI work? What are the resources and capabilities needed to undertake this very important task? These will be the questions we will try to tackle in this webinar. Equally important is another consideration of the Turin Agenda, which is the need of national evaluation systems to empower new and emerging agents of change and actively give voice to people from all walks of life. With this webinar, we would like to explore spaces for young and emerging evaluators to lead and participate in shaping and strengthening national evaluation systems and future development pathways. Where can we find inspiration for creating such venues? I look forward to finding out together with you. I would like to close with saying that as UNDP and GEI, we are very much aware of our responsibility to advocate for inclusive and robust national evaluation systems ready to face the multiple challenges of a disaster-prone future. With this webinar, I feel that we are one step closer to finding inspiring and homegrown solutions to those challenges. I hope you enjoy today's workshop, and over to you, Dugan.
Thank you so much, Isabelle, and welcome to everybody. Very, very warm welcome on behalf of the GEI. Just the memory of the NEC conference in Turin last year brings a smile to my face because it really was a very special event. And we're so grateful for our partnership with the UNDP's Independent Evaluation Office, which gives us this opportunity to work in the way that we are. As many of you know, the Global Evaluation Initiative is a global program that includes the CLEAR network. There are 6 CLEAR centers. It includes Better Evaluation as our knowledge platform, local. The NEC conference is an important element. We have the IPDET program and our partner ANAP. And so the GEI is a multi-stakeholder, multi-country initiative to build monitoring and evaluation capacity. And the NEC event is a really crucial moment in that whole story. The Turin Agenda was very special for a number of reasons, though. And as Isabel said, it took place straight after COVID. And so the whole need for resilience was very, very much foregrounded. And the agenda that it gave rise to, which was highlighting the role of the environment and environmental sustainability, the need to give all kinds of people from all walks of life a voice in evaluation, was very, very centered at the Turin meeting. And we understood the need to take real account of fragility and resilience, especially in contexts characterized by fragility and violence. I'm going to stop here. I'm really looking forward to the conversation, and we're looking really forward to the process of taking the Turin Agenda forward. I want to remind you that we're going to have another event in 6 months, and then we will have the next NEC conference around this time in 2024. And I'll hand it back to you. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Isabel. Thanks, Dugan. You highlighted the importance of national evaluation systems to development and your continued commitment to the cause. As you both mentioned, today marks the second webinar taking forward the vibrant discussion started in the National Evaluation Capacity Conference in October in Turin last year, which was the 7th conference in the National Evaluation Capacity series. The 2022 conference was a pivotal moment culminating in the Turin Agenda, a document that not only summarized our rich discussions, but also charted a roadmap for national evaluation systems. This roadmap not only guides the development of robust evaluation policies and systems, but also reminds us what should be never overlooked in this process. And as Dugan pointed out, inclusion and inclusivity was central to the agenda. What set the 2022 event apart also was that it was the first conference undertaken in collaboration with the GEI, the Global Evaluation Initiative. And this collaboration has continued beyond the conference and has enabled us to keep the discussion going in the intervening year to ensure momentum is maintained and discussion and sharing continues. We are happy to see that the GEI has also strongly adopted the Turin Agenda as its own roadmap, ensuring it continues to direct and inform progress. In April this year, we held the first interim NEC event, the NEC+6, focusing on 2 key Turin Agenda areas: gender responsiveness and climate-informed evaluation systems. Today's event picks up on 2 equally critical elements for the Turin Agenda. In our first session, we will again reflect on social inclusion to strengthen national evaluation systems, this time with a particular focus on the inclusion of youth. In the second session, we will delve into the vital consideration of how national evaluation systems can respond to and address crisis and build resilience in countries to ensure informed decision-making. And in the last session, we'll bring these 2 discussions together and discuss what countries need to consider to ensure youth inclusion and crisis consideration in their evaluation systems. Finally, as we prepare for the 8th National Evaluation Capacities Conference in 2024, a further significant milestone marking 15 years since the first event in 1999 in Morocco, I look forward to the discussion and questions raised today. I look forward to welcoming you at the conference, where we will continue the collective pursuit of stronger evaluation capacities. Thank you again, Isabel and Dugan. Thank you, participants. Over to you, Patricia. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you the first moderator for the first session, Gabriela Renteria Flores. She's the chair of EVA Youth and will be moderating the session about youth engagement and lessons learned from youth inclusion. Gabriela, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to everyone. I am honored to welcome you to this session, which serves as a follow-up of the NEC 2022, 1 year later. This first part of the session is dedicated to a critical aspect in evaluation, if you ask me, the involvement of youth. As everyone has mentioned, it is very important to include youth. And today, as the chair of Eval Youth, it's my privilege to moderate this discussion. During the NEC conference last year, an important milestone was achieved with the adoption of the Turin Agenda, as everyone has mentioned. This agenda represents a pivotal moment in the evolution of national evaluation systems, recognizing that these systems must actively give voice to people from all walks of life. In particular, the Turin Agenda emphasized the imperative of paying special attention to youth, women, and girls, as well as those who are often excluded or marginalized. The Turin Agenda calls upon national evaluation systems to take concrete steps in achieving these objectives. It challenges us to create inclusive and transparent systems that engage with a diverse array of stakeholders. It is imperative that we incorporate the diverse and informed viewpoints and expertise to generate credible evidence that support policies and programs aimed at leaving no one behind. Furthermore, the Turin Agenda underscores the significance of creating ample space for young and emerging evaluators. It recognizes the immense potential that the youth possess in leading and participating in shaping and strengthening our national evaluation systems and future development pathways. In this context, Eval Youth, as a global platform for young and emerging evaluators, is committed to promoting youth engagement in leadership in the field of evaluations. Today, as we convene to discuss the critical role of youth in evaluation, let us reflect on the ideas of the Turin Agenda and how they resonate with our work from different perspectives. Let us explore the practical steps and strategies that can be implemented to actively involve youth evaluators in shaping and strengthening national evaluation systems. To enrich our discussions, we are fortunate to have with us distinguished leaders from two corners of the globe who are actively engaged in the promotion of youth in evaluation. First, I am delighted to introduce to Chim Yi. She is the founder and president of the Mongolian Evaluation Association, and to Saira. She's the deputy director of Frontline in Monitoring Support at the Department of Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation in the government of South Africa. Chim Yi and Saira will be sharing their perspectives on how countries and BOPES are implementing this and how it is strengthening the inclusion of youth in evaluation is strengthening their evaluation systems. We'll be hearing from them what are their experience and where can we find inspirations. I encourage each of you to share your insights, experiences, and innovative ideas during our discussion. Today, we will have 2 5-minute lagging presentations, and if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will address them after the 2 presentations. First, we have Chim Yi. She's the founder and president of the Mongolian Evaluation Association and CEO and founder of a company that specializes in field of socioeconomic, market, agriculture, and environmental and health. Chim Yi has been evaluator for many UN agencies such as UNDP, UNICEF, UNFPA, and as a researcher of the Asian Development Bank, the World Bank, European Union, as well as for government agencies, including national statistics officers and private sector. Chim Yi is a PhD candidate from the University of Mongolia and holds a Master in Social Research Methods from the London School of Economics. It is our pleasure to have Chim Yi here and to share your experiences. Chim Yi.
Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to share Mongolia's case on how we engage youth in the national evaluation system. So next slide. Very brief introduction about Mongolia. So we are located between Russia and China in East Asia. We have 3.4 million population, and we often very proud to say that we are descendants of Genghis Khan. And in 1990, we transitioned from communism to democracy. However, 26% of total households are still living as nomadic people, as shown in the picture. So when it comes to national evaluation system, I would say that we have some elements of NEC in place, both in structure-wise and legal environmental-wise. All the 6 ministries and 21 local government have many departments, and we have some laws and resolutions that have elements of M&E in the documents. However, national evaluation capacity at public sector is low due to lack of resource and political will. And when we look at the social system of NEC, lack of awareness about value of evaluation among public and society is very high. But luckily, Mongolian Evaluation Association established in 2021, and we are hoping that we can promote the evaluation in the country. And currently we do not have any evaluation trainings, both academically and also informally, but we hope to contribute to that. Next slide. So here's a snapshot of our Mongolian Evaluation Association. As of today, we have 156 members. Before that, I would like to say that we were founded in 2021 with the vision to promote professionalization and institutionalization of evaluation at national level. And we have 156 members, 9 board members, and 1 CEO. And according to our strategic plan, we have this goal to support young and emerging evaluator to thrive in their profession. And also we established an Evaluate national chapter in Mongolia to attract young people to this field. So on the right side, 76 YEs mean half of all our members are young and emerging evaluators. They are very young and very energetic. And however, 55% of them do not have any evaluation experience, but they are very eager to learn. And when you ask why you join MEA, and a majority of them say they want to build the capacity and expand their professional network in evaluation. Next, please. So here, exactly within 1 year, we had these 10 key activities supporting young and emerging evaluators in Mongolia. Last year in November, our young evaluators participated in World Evaluation Case Competition, and they became Asian champion, which really encouraged them to take this agenda forward and spread the word of evaluation among young people. And in December, we launched established the Evaluate Mongolia chapter. And then March this year, we started 6-month young and emerging evaluator internship, and we just finished it. And in April, we we took a part in this Global Youth in Evaluation Week initiative. And it was a great way to engage government, international organization, private and civil society, making them sign on manifesto and adopting standards, etc. And in May, we had our leaders retreat, and we invited our Evaluate chapter members, so they gave their voice to our strategic direction of the association to promote evaluation in the country. And in May, we appointed 2 young and emerging evaluators to join our board members. And in May, within the Global Evaluation Initiatives, G-Local, we did 2-day workshop for young and emerging evaluators. And in June, we organized first annual Mongolian Evaluation Case Competition. And in August, we did our first summer evaluation boot camp for the young and emerging evaluators. And just today, a couple of hours ago, we launched Mongolian translation of the OECD DAC better criteria for better evaluation with the support of our members, and some of the translators were the young and emerging evaluators themselves. And next week, or this Saturday, we are going to have this World Evaluation Case Competition with our young and emerging evaluators also. Okay, next slide. I'm very rational because my time is running up. So just a few words about what we learned engaging youth in the NES. So most of the YEs do not have any training and real-life experience in evaluation, but they are very eager to learn to pursue career in evaluation and to contribute to the society. Youth have a high potential to increase and spread the word about the value of evaluation in society using information and technology, especially this Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. They are very skilled about this. And coupling training opportunities with practical application is most impactful. Otherwise, they tend to leave the field after trainings, workshops finished. Therefore, we need to make more of evaluation internship and practicum opportunities in collaboration with international development partners, public and private sectors. Campaigns like Youth in Evaluation has proven to be an accelerator of evaluation. The reason is that because of its global nature, youth are drawn to evaluation. Organizations take the opportunity to commit to support youth in evaluation along with other hundreds of organizations at the same time. And also at our association, we give volunteer opportunities to engage actively. For example, we have National Evaluation System, Topical Interest Group, Professionalization of Evaluation Task Force, and hands-on contribution to developing key evaluation documents such as OCTAC, glossary and criteria, becoming a board member, and participate in international and national evaluation conference and forums. And next, the last slide. So what VOPEs around the world can do to engage youth in evaluation. Encourage young VOPE members to establish Evaluate chapter and support throughout the process, as having a YE dedicated chapter enables them to have more ownership to contributing to building the NES. Continually provide spaces and opportunities of learning and growing in evaluation field through workshops, leadership, and volunteer opportunities at VOPES, with mentoring and encouraging them with words, you can do evaluation and you can become an evaluator. Always share information about opportunities of national, international workshops, conference in which they can participate, present and speak, and provide and look for financial supports to make their participation in forums possible, because that way youth feel empowered and exposed to key players in NES. Help them see and inspired with what impacts evaluation can do, not only to the lives of people in the society, but also in their own personal professional life. Share information about opportunities of consultancy nationally and internationally so that they can see the evaluation is not just an abstract field, but a profession with real demand. Do not desert youth, but embrace them and believe in them, coach them, mentor them, and be friend with them, and then co-work, co-evaluate, and co-advocate with them, because youth are the key players in strengthening national evaluation system through their stamina, intelligence, boldness, and creativity. Next slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mie. And I really like the part where you mentioned the collaboration part. We need this intergenerational collaboration, right, to make things happen. And our next speaker, I'm really happy to share that we have Sarah Nkobo here. She's Deputy Director in Frontline Monitoring Support at the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation in the South African government. Sarah has over 10 years experience gained in managing the South African National Evaluation System, and she has also led the capacity development component of the National Evaluation System of South Africa. She has been part of the review team of the National Evaluation Policy Framework in 2019 and has been instrumental in the development and review of evaluation courses now run by the National School of Government. Sarah has a master's degree in development studies, diploma in management with a focus in monitoring and evaluation. Sarah is also a member of the South African Monitoring and Evaluation Association, SAMEA, and she has a lot of experience, and I'm really looking forward to hear from you. Sarah, over to you.
No, thank you very much. I wish to appreciate the opportunity presented to share the experience of South Africa in engaging youth and addressing crisis and building resilience. Thank you. The next slide. My presentation will take this format. I'll provide a background and also initiatives that the National Evaluation System in South Africa has taken to engage and include the youths, and also the benefits that this has brought, and also highlight the challenges that come with that as well and how we can work on them. Thank you. Next slide. So in terms of the background, in South Africa, we are standing at, we have youth unemployment that stands at 51%. And one reason being that youths are often seen as inexperienced and without skills. Yes, with the right qualifications, but the skills. So youths, they have the qualifications, but lack the technical skills to undertake the actual evaluations. But this is not a reason to exclude them. Youths are often incorporated in evaluation teams in order to comply with team composition requirements. And this perception needs to really change, and there's a need to afford them a chance to learn. So the South African National Evaluation System commissions evaluations, and I'll show you how there's an effort really to include the youth even in commissioning evaluations. And also one thing to note is that many organizations, government and non-government organizations, are investing in increasing the technical capacity of emerging evaluators. And we've seen that with UNICEF, and we have seen in the South African Monitoring and Evaluation Association, CLEAR, and the GEI, the World Food Programme, and many others. So in South Africa, there's a ministry on women, youth, and persons with disability, which is basically an indication of the commitment by the South African government to ensure youth actively participate in their own development. So even in terms of employment, we note courts that have been set for employment of youth. So companies are expected to have a certain composition of youth as part of their labor force. So in the same light, the National Evaluation has considered the participation of youth as a very critical component. The next slide. So, like I mentioned, the South African National Evaluation, it commissions evaluations. So the inclusion of youth as bidders has been incorporated in the procurement processes. So we've got what we call the preferential procurement regulations that are utilized by the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation and all other government entities. And they place youth at an advantage for procurement in commissioning evaluation. So I'll show you a terms of reference template that really highlights that there needs to be in any team, there needs to be 15% of that team needs to be composed of youth. So the South African national government has also developed an equity guideline, and DPME as the leader in evaluation has led that process, and that guideline emphasizes the involvement of youth in evaluation. And DPME, in its partnership with the South African Monitoring and Evaluation Association, has got what we call an evaluation, an emerging evaluators program. And recently we have seen UNICEF sponsor a program to equip emerging evaluators on rapid evaluations. So the DPME Emerging Evaluators program, although at conceptual stage, is what we call an incubation program for youth-owned evaluation campus. And this is done in partnership with the Department of Small Business in South Africa. The Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation has got what we call a capacity development strategy. And in its strategy, there's a component of partnering with university in data collection exercise, and most of the data collectors are youth. There's also an internship program whose aim is to provide workplace evaluation experience, and the target for that internship program are the youths. Currently in the National Evaluation Plan, there's also an implementation evaluation on the youth policy. So this is also an indication how South Africa takes youth matters seriously. So the DPME contribution to evidence on youth through the inclusion of the youth policy evaluation and participation in the evaluation. The next slide. So this is the template that I was mentioning, that there's preferential procurement. If you note in 1.11, there's empowerment requirements. And in the third row, there is youth. At least 15% of the persons they required needs to be youth. So there's if you can't meet those requirements, which means you are not likely to get a tender on evaluations. So this is a commitment by the South African government to ensure that youth participate and are included in an evaluation team. Next slide. So really the benefits are, like I mentioned, we've got very high unemployment here, and one being the lack of skills. So inclusion of youth plays a significant role in terms of reduction of unemployment, and it also assists to impact the requisite skills, hence gaining experience. So the inclusion of youth also ensures that there's a sustainability of the evaluation function. So it's definitely guaranteed when we impact the skills to the youth. So this also comes with its own challenges. And one of those challenges is there are risks around technical expertise to produce reports that can fit into the evidence-informed decision-making. So the quality of reports, so we need to strike a balance how to ensure that we really include youths, but at the same time, we don't compromise on quality. So anecdotal data evidence suggests that youth experience is not yet good for conducting evaluation, especially for them to lead evaluation. So we need to find a balance and probably include them in the team, but not for them to literally lead, so that they get the requisite skill. So many times there's an issue of tokenism where youth are relegated to data collection role without clearly defined career paths. So these are some of the challenges. The next slide. How best then can we best strengthen youth involvement? So the involvement of youth should not be compliance driven, but it should be intentional to ensure that there's impactation of skills. In terms of the experience with the National Evaluation System, most of the time we have noted that people, most companies, they just include youth for the purposes of complying with the requirements. But when it's time to conduct the evaluation and implement, you don't even see those youth. So it was done literally for purposes of compliance. There are opportunities to involve youth as peer reviewers, given that the number of youths are acquiring postgraduate qualifications in evaluation, especially in South Africa. We have got a number of institutions that are offering evaluation courses, and we've seen youths making inroads in terms of acquiring PhDs in evaluations. So there's also a need to consider assigning emerging evaluators to mentors and coaches who provide a step-by-step capacity development and exposure. We have seen SAMEA, the South African Monitoring Evaluation Association, doing that so that skills can be really impacted, and there's kind of some guide in acquiring those skills. Like I mentioned, we cannot relegate them to data collection, but let's make an effort to ensure that they are involved in all evaluation deliverables. Youth targeting is crucial as it impacts largely youth at greatest risk of labor exclusion. Skills training and entrepreneurship also creates an opportunities for entry and growth in the field of evaluation. The next slide. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. And we have a lot of questions coming. Please put them on the Q&A chat box so we can address them. We have one, and I think it can be addressed by either Chingy or Sarah. Have you experienced some terms of reference from the government or international development agencies, including the requirement of engagement of young and emerging evaluators? Do you have any practical experience in that? Yeah, Chingy, please.
Yes, unfortunately, in Mongolia, that's not the practice yet, because evaluation itself is very rare among government agencies. And we are promoting, there's every policy program should be aspiring to be evaluated. So hopefully that will be in the future. However, we have initiated some discussions with some of the government agencies to engage our young evaluators for their M&E work. And also we got some requests from Authority for Government Supervisory, which is a leading M&E agency in the government, that they asked, do you have any good young people who have statistics background but can help exploring how international M&E system work? So there's some hope that is sparking. So hopefully we will advance that discussion and really go forward to that direction.
Thank you, Chimie. Sarah, do you want to? Yes, please.
No, thank you very much. Like I mentioned earlier, with the South African government, there is really an intention to impact skills and also to bring youths on board. Like I mentioned, I showed you the terms of reference that I used for procurement, just to make sure that as we commission evaluation, the National Evaluation System, such companies have got a component of youth as part of the team. But like I mentioned, one of the challenges, some of these things are done for purposes of compliance. And when it's the time to do the actual work, you don't see those youth. So it's actually, maybe it's also a challenge to the National Evaluation System to really ensure that it happens and it doesn't only happen at procurement where the service level agreements are signed, but it really happens. So, but like I mentioned also earlier, South Africa, we have got a strong South African monitoring and evaluation system, the South African Monitoring and Evaluation Association, and we have partnered well as South Africa they've partnered quite well with government. And in most cases, when there are areas where we require capacity development as government, we partner with the national with SAMEA, and there's some good technical experience that comes from SAMEA, even from the emerging evaluators.
Thank you, Sarah. And we have one question that will make us reflect. Who should be involved in evaluations to make them inclusive? Why youth, and who else is left out? Chimie, Sarah, the floor is yours.
Who should be involved in making sure that the evaluations are inclusive? In South Africa, we've got this saying that says, nothing without us should happen. So most of the time when an evaluation is conceptualized, there's a mapping of stakeholders really as to who are the important stakeholders in that particular evaluation. And often in putting together an evaluation team, you take that into cognizance, because at the end of it all, whatever recommendations that come from evaluation, they need to be implemented. So there's that deliberate exercise of mapping as to who should be involved, who should be included, and what is the subject, and who are the key stakeholders. And in such a way, we ensure inclusivity.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, nothing about us without us, right? And like including youth meaningfully in evaluations is a first step. But yeah, we need to assess who else should be included in evaluations to make them more inclusive. There are a lot of questions actually from the assistants regarding different opportunities about where to look for programs in evaluation, where to look for opportunities, practical opportunities. I will actually share on the chat box the Global Directory of Academic Programs in Evaluation done by GEI. It's hosted in the Better Evaluation website. It's actually a great source to start looking for those programs. And also, you can check and visit frequently the opportunities that are provided during in the CLEAR centers, some internship practices, And please also look for opportunities within Evil Youth or website or social media, and getting engaged and involved with the different chapters. So we sometimes advertise practical opportunities. We have another question, Chimbi and Sarah. How do youth contribute to the use of artificial intelligence and innovation? And can this be leveraged as opportunity for young and emerging evaluator integration?
Thank you. It's a great question, because the youth themselves are very tech savvy, right? And then our association was approached from MIT because they're developing this new AI program, and then they ask us, okay, you test it among your evaluation focus group discussion or whatever. And when I shared this news with our members, mostly the youth are the first respondents, and they're excited about this. So definitely AI would be a great field to attract youth into evaluation more. And then, also, I remember some of our young evaluators were sharing there's a risk of also AI, because as long as we have really hold to our ethical evaluation ethics, like in being integrity, not to do harm, there is some risk. But yeah, I agree that AI has great potential to really engage youth in all the fields of evaluation.
Thank you, Chimbi. Sarah, do you have any experience with this?
I think on that, I don't have much to say.
Thanks. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the chat, and we will be answering through the webinar. And we also have another question, whether these initiatives are practically initiated. I think, Chimbi, can you share what has now happened in Mongolia?
Sorry, what was the question, Gabriela?
Whether all of these initiatives have been started or initiated.
Yeah, so our association founded 2 years ago, and we really started more investing in our young and emerging evaluators exactly 1 year ago. So that 10 key activities I showed happened within 1 year.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically the answer is yes, look for the opportunity. The Mongolian Evaluation Association and Evil Youth Mongolia are doing a lot of activities all the time. And I think it's our time is coming to an end, so I will invite Chimbi and Sarah. If you have any closing remarks, please go ahead. We have 1 minute each, please.
No, thank you very much. For me, in terms of closing remarks, I want to also highlight how, especially in South Africa, we have seen even youth occupying positions of being board members in the South African Monitoring and Evaluation Association. They are really taking a lead and ensuring that their issues are taken on board. They are not just passive, and it cannot be correct that we do things for issues of compliance. They are taking charge of their own development. So it's an issue that cannot be ignored. Like I mentioned, we have an equity guideline that is for that DPME has led in developing in partnership with SAMEA. So the youth have been quite active, and they are really producing, in as much as I mentioned that there are challenges in terms of quality, but our youths are really producing quality stuff in terms of evaluations. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Chimbi?
Well, I just really thank on behalf of our Mongolian Evaluation Association Evaluate chapter and all the youth in Mongolia for giving this opportunity, this voice that I give and to give to the world how we are doing in terms of evaluation. Even though it's a challenging environment, sometimes things feel very lonely and deserted. Especially this field is so emergent. Most of people don't know, don't appreciate, but still you have to keep going on. And then especially young people, for them, evaluation is maybe the word they heard of for the first time in Mongolia's case, most of the time. So, but once they hear, and then we, along the process, we graciously share everything we know we receive from international audience, opportunities we share. I can see the sparks in their eyes, and I can see the hope that they can become good evaluators. So I would like to encourage everyone, just if you know any young person, be friend with them, give them encouragement that they can really change the society being a good evaluator. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chimyi. Thanks a lot for joining this discussion. Let's keep that discussion going. And as I always say, everyone came to evaluation from different sources, and be the mentor you wanted to have. Be the mentor for a young and emerging evaluator you always wanted to have when you start your evaluation career. Thanks a lot, and hope to be still engaged in these discussions. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Patricia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gabriela, and to esteemed speakers. That was a very interesting and engaging conversation. And we will be happy to share the recording of the webinar as well as the PowerPoints. Once we finish, they will be posted on Better Evaluation, and all the registered participants will receive the information on where to find these resources. So thanks again. And now we are going to go in a small break, but while we are in the break, you can of course stretch your legs, but keep an eye on the screen because we are going to play a PowerPoint made of the progress that countries have submitted to us on how they are progressing on the Turin Agenda. So thank you very much again, and I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Tamuru Tarrafa Charanet from Ethiopia. I am working for the Ministry of Planning and Development of Ethiopia. The Turin Agenda is very important for our country. Although it is very early to talk about the progress according to Turin Agenda, we already ahead of that because we were working on the strengthening the monitoring and evaluation systems, the National Development Plan at the country level. We have a kind of training, the capacity building training. The capacity building training has been conducted just bringing together those directors and focal persons working on M&D and planning from 20 sector ministries. We are also working on strengthening partnership among stakeholders, especially UN agencies. So we are working on this issue. So we will continue our effort to bring realistic the Turin Agenda. Thank you very much.
My name is Dr. Angelina Matidio Bazuba, the Director of the National Transformational Leadership Institute. Since the NEC conference, I've been working to strengthen the national evaluation system by organizing activities and events that brought people together. We organized the international conference that brought women from the national level to the grassroots level, but also women from different countries to come and share knowledge and experiences. We've also worked with the government from the national level to the grassroots level, strengthening the local government organization and also the local government authorities to really know what are the programs happening at the national level and trickle them down to the grassroots level. In the process, a number of issues pertaining evaluation and monitoring were captured. In this way, it gave the government authorities at the grassroots level the ownership of the process, but also the ownership of the program to be able to monitor it effectively.
Hello, my name is Prudence. I'm Director Monitoring and Evaluation in the Ministry of Finance and National Planning in the Government of the Republic of Zambia. I attended the 2022 NEC conference in Turin, and following my attendance of that conference, I have made some collaborative engagements with stakeholders. My team at Monitoring and Evaluation Department met with the Zambia Monitoring and Evaluation Association to discuss collaboration in terms of capacity enhancement in evaluations across government. We also met with the World Bank to agree on how they can provide technical assistance to the department for us to improve our data visualizations in terms of knowledge management of the information that comes out of our evaluations, censuses, and surveys. So we are looking forward to having further collaboration with stakeholders so that we can take the evaluation agenda forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all the countries representatives that have submitted us the information. Now, without further ado, we are back from the break and we are about to start the second segment of today's discussion, which is going to look into national evaluation systems in crisis settings and trying to respond on how can they continue to respond to government decision-making needs. It's my pleasure to introduce you Dr. Edouard Dimitri Aboujan. He's the director of the CLEAR Center for Francophone Africa. Edouard, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. It is a privilege for me to moderate this session. So thank you all for joining us for this segment of the webinar. For the next 35 minutes, we will reflect on how national evaluation system will continue to respond to government decision-making needs in crisis setting. As you all know, evaluation is a primarily contextual matter. Context shapes and influences evaluation approaches and design. Reversely, evaluation has the potential to exacerbate crisis or to help make sound decisions for crisis prevention and resolution. Learning from the COVID-19 crisis, the Turin Agenda urged the evaluation global community to help build ever more agile and flexible system to rapidly meet shifting and urgent needs for evidence to guide policies and practices. The agenda also emphasized the need to develop capacities to provide timely, credible, and robust evidence to policymakers and policy implementation process, which is quite a challenge in the face of a crisis. Consider fragility and resilience in all aspects of evaluation should be something that we need to take into account as evaluators in developing national evaluation system to make them capable of dealing with crisis. We need to be innovative to tap into the huge potential of new technologies to make the system more resilient toward various crises. Since the NEC conference, the frequency of crises have made the Turin Agenda even more relevant today, with several crises that we have faced, such as the natural disasters caused by climate change, rising geopolitical tensions in Europe, but also in Africa, overlapping crises. And today, we are still in a world where 73 people who live in extreme poverty lives actually in fragile contexts. So we cannot meet the development goals without taking into account how evaluation can really help deal with the crisis. And that will be the discussion that we will have in the next minute. So to help us reflect on how national evaluation system could continue respond to government decision needs in crisis setting, we have two distinguished panelists. Mr. Method Mulamira will be shortly presenting the experience from Haiti. And then we will have the second panelist, Juliet Parker, will talk about how evaluation approaches have been implemented in crisis setting from the experience of the humanitarian sector. So without any further ado, I would like to hand over to our first panelist, Mr. Method Mulamira. Mr. Method Mulamira is a M&E officer at the World Food Program in Haiti. He has a 9-year experience in development, planning, monitoring, and evaluation. He works extensively in Sub-Saharan Africa in some of the countries experiencing the fast-growing humanitarian crisis and the last 3 years in Haiti, in the Latin America and Caribbean region. Mr. Method, I'm very pleased to hand it to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. This is a very great opportunity, and I have also to say that I'm a young and emerging evaluator from Uganda back then. That's where I started my journey, and so I'm very glad to share my experience in Haiti. So Haiti country has one of the world's highest levels of chronic food insecurity, with over half of its total population chronically food insecure and 22% chronically malnourished children. Underlying drivers of this situation include extreme poverty and frequent natural disasters. In addition to implementing emergency response and emergency relief programs, social safety nets, on-demand and common service, and humanitarian air service, WFP is also actively engaged and contributing to improving the resilience of local communities and supporting smallholder farmers. This is done through its homegrown school feeding program, which aims to transition from an imported food school feeding model to one that sources all its food, with the sole exception of oil, locally. Through the homegrown school feeding program, WFP supports 3 key objectives: boosting the Haitian economy through local purchases, diversify the diet of school children, and also promoting local agriculture by improving smallholder farmers' access to market. But WFP cannot alone do the humanitarian work in Haiti, and therefore works with government ministries, including, amongst others, the Ministry of Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Rural Development, the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the Ministry of Interior and Territorial Communities, the Ministry of Social Affairs and Labor. And for the monitoring and evaluation, national monitoring and evaluation system, WFP strengthened the government through joint monitoring missions with the Ministry of Education, officials, and cooperating partners that are organized in supported schools. And in case red flags are raised through this visit, then the fact-finding missions are also organized jointly, and the procedure to address them is also activated. Also through the support to organizing the quarterly sectoral tables in which different partners share their experience and monitoring findings are disseminated. Also through continuous capacity strengthening sessions organized for the government officials. WFP plans to scale up the utilization of School Connect app and also support the Ministry of Education in integrating a user interface module to collect monthly monitoring and reporting data directly from schools. Similarly, WFP continuously produces and shares evidence of their school feeding program with the government to inform future strategic decisions and also jointly build stronger and more resilient national systems. And as an example, an evaluation carried out in 2019 of the WFP school feeding program, for instance, recommended to continue to support the validation of normative documents and governance structures and assist the government with their adoption and application. and also to carry out an analysis together with donor and Haitian authorities on the use of school feeding platform as a response mechanism to slow and rapid onset emergencies, such as drought, earthquakes, hurricanes, and also political and economic instability. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Method, for these insights into the experience in Haiti, the experience of WFP in Haiti. Our next panelist is Juliette Parker, the director of ALNAP, the Learning Network for the Humanitarian Sector. She's responsible for working with the Secretariat to coordinate strategy and ensure the coherence, implementation, and impact of ALNAP's work. Juliette has 20 years experience of humanitarian programming and senior level strategic management in NGOs with a particular focus on performance, monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning. It's a privilege to introduce you, Juliette, and the floor is yours.
Great, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to add my thoughts to a really interesting discussion. So ALNAP is the learning network for the humanitarian sector, and I thought it might be helpful to highlight some of the learning coming from our work that has relevance for national evaluation capacities in crisis, fragility, and resilience, and using evaluation to improve crisis response. I've got 4 points that I'd like to make. The first is that ALNAP has just finished a synthesis evaluation of the Humanitarian Development and Peace Nexus, which is due to be published next month, where we looked at over 90 evaluations of Nexus approaches, many of which were implemented in countries facing armed conflict, often protracted. And what I want to mention is, interestingly, we didn't come across any evaluations conducted by national governments. So that's not to say that they don't exist, of course, but it does mean that we didn't find them. And we wondered if this might suggest there's a disconnect between how humanitarian and development actors view the HDP nexus as an international priority compared to how it may resonate with national actors. We know that continued humanitarian response efforts in locations of protracted crisis, such as Somalia and Afghanistan, are not fully meeting needs, and more is needed, yet our HDP nexus work shows that little tangible or concrete progress has yet been made that is measurable in terms of ensuring the overall coherence of the international support provided in their context and how to align with national priorities. Evaluations by national actors to assess the international community on these contexts would be very enlightening and provide a counter-narrative to that emerging from the humanitarian sector. The second point I wanted to make was just on some of the technical approaches in delivering integrated Nexus programming and how evaluation findings can support government decision-making needs. Our Nexus paper finds that conflict analysis, do no harm, and political economy analysis was very rarely conducted in relation to Nexus programming and evaluations. And this is a long way behind where the sector feels it should be, and surprising given how focused Nexus actors are on working to address root causes of conflict. Similarly, gender analysis was also very rare, which is of course disappointing. Despite isolated pilots, the Nexus hasn't brought the wholesale transformation of integrated programming needed to better support those affected by conflict and fragility. And there's ongoing confusion over what the Nexus looks like in practice and how best to operationalize it, let alone how to evaluate it. However, the need to upskill for Nexus success has seen investment in advisors and training initiatives, such as the UNDP Nexus Academy, which is broadening connections with peace actors, developing knowledge management, and an evidence agenda to support training. My third point is that there is a lot more that the system can learn about how to support national evaluators, and that's come up a little bit already in some of the discussions. Within the humanitarian sector, there remains a challenge with lack of diversity in relation to evaluators selected to lead and conduct many large humanitarian evaluations. There are some really interesting initiatives looking at how to support locally led evaluation and to address barriers to entry in humanitarian evaluations. But this is important and will take a concerted effort to make a meaningful shift. Isabel mentioned in her opening comments about the need to give voice to people in evaluation from all walks of life, and this is of concern to who is leading and conducting the evaluations, as well as those whose opinions and experience inform the findings of the evaluation itself. And the fourth point that I want to make is around the shift to real-time evaluation. One of the challenges in the humanitarian sector is that our learning cycles are too slow to address the evolution of crises that we are facing. Crises are getting faster and more unpredictable in their nature, and our current learning approaches are just too slow to be able to keep up. During COVID, which was an unprecedented crisis, we saw a shift towards increasing use of real-time learning approaches, which support much tighter learning loops. This has generated important learning for the sector, which aligns well with a more systems approach to learning, recognizing that learning is not linear and does not happen in line with our plans and expectations. We would say that overall, the system needs to increase and diversify the number of learning points with the system, planned and unplanned, formal and informal, to embed them more closely to where the learning and decision-making is happening, and to use more real-time approaches that enable adaptive decision-making. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juliet. You put emphasis on some very important points here. The need to shift to real-time evaluation, to learning approach that are timely, and that's something that also has been mentioned by the Turin Agenda. The need for system approach to learning, and also the need to be innovative in terms of the technical approach, to be more inclusive and taking into account the gender, but also do no harm approach and the conflict-sensitive approach in conducting evaluation. And what is very striking is the fact that there is a few evaluation, according to your study, few evaluation conducted by the government in the crisis setting. And that will lead to my first question to you. Do you think that government institutions are prepared to undertake evaluation in time of crisis, and what can be done in order to enhance their capacity to do so? So you will respond to the question, and then method in afterwards. Yeah, Juliet.
Thank you. That's a really hard question, and I'm not sure that I'm very well placed to answer it. I suppose what our observation is that the formal humanitarian sector is not as well connected to national governments as it could be or as it should be, and that it looked like there was a dislocation in where our learning was happening and our ability to connect them. And and that means that we're missing out on capitalizing on each other's expertise and experiences, and that really is a weakness in the system. If we take my point about increasing and diversifying the number of learning points, the flip side of that is making sure that we are better connected and better able to speak each other's language. I suppose technical languages rather than literal languages, and be able to and have the spaces to be able to communicate and exchange. And I suppose my point was more about dislocation, really, rather than capacity.
Okay, so we need to be better connected, to be able to speak to each other. I think that's one of the mission, the goal of the GEI. And I will also appreciate your thoughts method on this based on the experience from Haiti.
Yes, thank you. For the case of Haiti, going in the same line, we all always need to come together. And for the case of Haiti, flexibility is very key because of the rapid onset emergencies, and also the political instability, and also access constraint. So there's more need of flexibility and making sure that the different components, different stakeholders come together and are always brought about. Most of the time in the learning process, we find that sometimes the humanitarian sector tend to be a little bit faster than the government stakeholders. So this is something that I believe in the next phase of evaluations, this could be tackled. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Please feel free to raise your questions in the chat. We'll be pleased to answer those questions. For the panelists, I have another question about how can national evaluation actually influence decision making in that context. Did you come across some specific examples that you can raise here to shed light on how evaluation has been useful to make decisions, sound decisions in the context of a crisis, from the experience of Haiti, but also experience from the humanitarian across the globe? Methods, yeah.
Thank you. For the case of Haiti, I remember during COVID, useful information was shared with the government of Haiti in the shift of the school feeding program, adapting to the closure of schools, whereby we needed data and evidence that children are not directly affected by the closure of schools. So we conducted a rapid assessment and also came up with a model of take-home rations. But this was done only with the Ministry of Education. But I believe in different sectors, whenever we have this displacement, we have the hurricanes, I believe that the same approaches could be useful in coming up with this new approach very fast and also adapted to the context. So we're planning in the next phase, in the next 5 years, to work with more of academic institutions so that we train more of the students and also making sure that they are working on whatever topics that they are working on are actually connected to our programs, and also it can help them in the future to better understand the spheres of evaluation and also come up with more recommendations that are based on the local context. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Juliet, do you want to come up with your thought on that? Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think Method's example is a really good one. I suppose rather my point is a little bit. One of the things that we would say is that we need much tighter learning loops. We need much quicker ability to collate and access and utilize learning, particularly within crises, and particularly layered crises and crises that are evolving and changing quite quickly. And there's two sides to that, though. One is our evaluative approaches. So do we know what we're trying to do? Do we have the mechanisms, cultures, and systems and expectations to be able to do it? The other critical component is, are our institutions adaptive enough to be able to make the changes in the same level of real time? And in some areas, we found that that's more of a limitation. Even where we do have the learning loops, the lack of adaptiveness of our system and of the institutions within the system is the thing that's slowing the learning point down. So I suppose that we need to look at that point around influencing decision-making from both those aspects, both from evaluative approaches as well as organizational adaptiveness.
Great. In line with the first panel that we had, to what extent youth are involved in this process of building evaluation capacity in face of crisis, or engaging youth so that evaluation can be used in to resolve a crisis? To what extent have you been working with youth? What are the mechanisms in place to promote their engagement in the field of evaluation in those contexts? Methods? You said you are an emerging evaluator, so you might have some thoughts on that.
Yes, thank you. Well, I think the previous panelists also pointed out that this is something that is emerging and is coming. So most likely in the humanitarian sector, we work more with government institutions. And as one of the panelists was mentioning, if we have already a very small percent of the youth during in these ministries, then the impact directly to this youth becomes small. That's why in the next 5 years, our plan is to dig deep into the academic sphere, whereby we have access directly to the youth. But for the past, we've been engaging in locally based organizations in doing the monitoring of our activity, so that we could also strengthen our acceptance in the communities. So we have currently like third-party monitoring firms that basically work with the youth, and our role is to strengthen them and make sure that they understand our programs, and also they are able to provide real-time monitoring whenever we have activities that are going on. But I believe that more can be done, especially with the academic institutions. Thank you.
Great. Juliet?
So I don't have anything particular to contribute on youth specifically, though I thoroughly enjoyed hearing the comments of the previous panel. But I do think there's this issue of diversity in general around the M&E, the international M&E community, which is really, really important. And I think that that's got three aspects to it. The first is around investing in national capacities, investing in broadening the range and diversity of people who are, who engage in M&E. But there's also two other aspects. One is the extent to which those commissioning pieces of work are prepared to and expect to increase the diversity of the evaluators that they are engaging with. And that's a very conscious policy decision for any commissioning agencies. But the other is also this broader debate about what value we put on knowledge and whose knowledge counts, which certainly in the humanitarian sector is coming up extremely strongly. We know that our traditional approaches to evaluation come from the traditional northern-led part of the sector. And there's some brilliant conversations going on in the M&E community about whose knowledge counts, where we place respect for recognition of the ability to capitalize on a much broader range of diversity and the implications of that for our methodological approaches, which the system has to engage with moving forward.
Great, thank you very much. I think you raised some very important points here, both of you. First of all, the idea of flexibility in terms of building evaluation capacity, implementing evaluation in the context of crisis, flexibility, but also the capacity to be adaptive, to cope with the short timing of the crisis and the need for very quick response for decision making. And for that, we need to shift to real-time evaluation, to a system approach to learning. And you also mentioned how important it is and the potential that youth can really play a significant role in that context. But that requires building their capacity and giving them room to act. And also you mentioned how important to think of inclusivity in terms of the knowledge, whose knowledge counts, how to integrate indigenous knowledge into evaluation approaches to help cope with the crisis. So thank you very much for all those comments. Do you have a last word, just very quickly, before we leave? A last word for the audiences. I will start with Juliet.
No, I don't think so. Apart from, I love hearing more about youth evaluators. I think it's extremely positive and very exciting, and I'd love to hear more about it in the future.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Methods.
Thank you so much. Well, I think I'm reminded also as a young evaluator and who started the journey in Uganda. This also reminds me, even in fragile contexts like Haiti, I think this is something that we need to look into as a humanitarian sector to make sure that these national evaluation associations, they exist, and how we can actually strengthen our collaboration in the next phase of evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for attending this event. I will now hand it over to Patricia for the next segment of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you very much, speakers. It was really interesting to listen to the conversation, and we would like now to turn the microphone, so to say, to you, to our participants. We would like to hear from you. And so we prepared some polls that we would like now to share, and you can participate by using your phone. So you can either scan the QR code that you have there, or go to slido.com, enter the number that you see on the screen and the passcode, and then you would be able to access the poll. Let's leave it like just a few more seconds, Megan, and then maybe we can start the poll, just to make sure that everybody has the time to connect. I will do the same. Very well. So maybe we can start with the first question. And so we would like to know, to what extent does your national evaluation system integrate youth into evaluation processes? Please give a score from 1 to 5. If 5 is fully integrated, let us know. Megan, I don't see the legend below, so I don't know which score is what. Maybe if you can take away the full screen, maybe I will be able to see them. I'm not sure if there is something there. So looking at the average score, I believe that unfortunately they're not integrated at all. This is the most of the question. However, I see a 6% where they say they are fully integrated. That's, for us, is always very interesting to learn from people who manage to have good processes in place. So if you would like to please elaborate a little bit in the chat, we would love to hear from you guys. And thank you very much. Thank you. And then I think we can pass to the second question. And so here, this is a word cloud. So what are the biggest challenges to integrating youth in evaluation in your context? Please use either one word or a very, very short phrase, like a couple of words together. Political will, capacity, training, linked to capacity, procurement, accessibility, incentives, organization, funding constraints, logistics, lack of opportunity, administrative limitation, lack of policy, culture. Political will seems that is the winning one, but there are many other related topics related to lack of opportunities and funding and administrative limitations. Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much for responding. There are still 2 participants typing. Thank you. Very well. Thank you very much, Megan. If you can go to the next one. So now we would like to hear from you, and to what extent is your national evaluation system ready to respond in an unstable or crisis settings? Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, the score is even lower than the previous one so far. But again, those who are living in countries where they see good examples, we would love to hear from you. So please enter in the chat a little bit of details. Or at least let us know which country we are talking about. Very well. I don't see anybody else responding. And maybe we can pass to the next question. What are the biggest challenges to ensuring an evaluation system is resilient? What would be the one word that would describe that in your context? Adaptation, national ownership, agility, funding, lack of data, resources, or lack of, I imagine, lack of ownership, autonomy over time, bureaucratic mindset, good data, credibility, legal framework, good data quality. Yes, many people have raised the issue about data quality. Ownership, yes, is coming back. Thank you. If you have any comments or questions, please send them in the chat. We will be able to answer as we can. Unfortunately, given the number of participants, we cannot give the floor to anybody. So please use the written text. Thank you very much. And then we can go to the next one. Thank you. So what do you need to take this forward? How can the GEI help? Please let us know what we can do in order to help either on the youth integration or on the question of working in fragile context and to build resilience. Advocacy, thank you. Online free trainings. Capacity strengthening, best practices. Yeah, training opportunities. Mixing youth and experience. Build the national systems. Strengthening capacities. support and advocate political ownership, continue to share good practices and lessons learned. Thank you. We're trying to do our best, and I think these webinars are very encouraging for us because we see a lot of interest in the topics that we propose, and we will be continuing organizing them. Scholarships, leverage youth potential, shadowing opportunities. Thank you very much. So as you keep typing, I'd like to give the opportunity now to take the floor to Isabel again and Dugan. I'd like to invite them both to kind of share their views on what we have heard today and also give the concluding thought. Isabel, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, I had the pleasure of attending the NEC conference in Turin, and I remember feeling really invigorated when I was there, and feeling pretty invigorated now. I have this habit of when I write notes, I put little stars beside great ideas or action points, and I think have more stars in this past little time that we've had together than I've put down in my notebook for a long time. And I think that's a really good sign. It's a good sign because it means that we have a community here of really passionate people who are able to be innovative. So happy that I was able to partake in this and to hear some of these stories. I'm sure the participants have other ideas and things they've put into place that are quite ingenious that I want to pick up on. And I think that's the joy and quality of these types of opportunities that we have as a global evaluation community, is to learn from each other. I'm really seized with these two topics of youth integration and evaluation and working in crisis settings. Youth integration is important to me because I think it's a really, really important part of having a sustainable community, quite frankly. I think evaluation is an art and it's also a science, but it's something that benefits a lot from bringing youth because they bring new ideas, but also it allows us as more senior experienced evaluators to share our knowledge. And I think that's how we're really strong, is when we exchange and we have this support across generations. Also, in terms of working at crisis settings, I think it's essential in a world where unfortunately this is becoming the new normal in more and more places. I think evaluation has a huge role to play in those spaces, and I think we need to reflect collectively about how we can do better. But again, I think what we've seen today is that there is work being done and that we can learn from that work. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists, for speaking. And I look forward very much to the NEC conference at the end of October in 2024. Richard has told me that we have yet to identify a venue. So this is a call to people, if they're interested in hosting or having their country host, please reach out to myself or to Richard. We'd be happy to have a conversation. And on that note, I think I'll pass it to Dugan. Thank you, everyone. It was very invigorating and interesting for me.
Thanks so much, Isabel. And yes, as I said when I started, this brings back very happy memories of the event in Turin exactly 1 year ago. And I think what I get so loudly from the conversation today is a ringing endorsement of what the GEI is trying to do through its partnership with the IEO and others. which is that we're really trying to reorient evaluation into something that is part of the way countries understand their governance and the way they need to manage and administer themselves. And I think that the inputs that we got from Sarah and Chimji were both so helpful in thinking about both what value gets added when young people are active participants in evaluation systems. And I think, as Isabel said, they bring a dynamism and a vibrancy that is essential, that is really going to make evaluation a field that adds value in what is going to be a very difficult future. And then I think the Methode and Juliet's contributions on the role of evaluation in crisis settings was also so useful. And again, what we're really seeing is the need for these systems to be shifted, to change, to evolve, to become much more context appropriate. And a couple of the questions in the chat were, I think, coming to start asking the really, really hard question, which is, how do we get governments to see evaluation as something that adds value? How do we build that demand that means that they're going to do the kinds of things that Sarah talked about, having procurement systems in place that make youth participation a requirement if you want to win an evaluation contract with a government agency? And what that really all speaks to is a strong political will that says that when we do evaluations, we get insights that we can't get anywhere else. We have young people. And one of the other questions that was coming up in the chat box from someone was saying, yeah, it's cool to involve young people, but who's not getting involved when we only involve young people? Are there other important populations that we're leaving out? So for example, GEI has a grant with the Canadian Global Affairs entity, and that's looking at the role of gender and inclusion in evaluation. And Isabel smiling because that was one of the things she did for us before she left Global Affairs Canada. But what we're really imagining is a future where evaluation is able to really be a traveling companion for country governments and their non-state actors. So for civil societies, for higher education institutions. Somebody mentioned in the chats, religious NGOs and other non-commercial entities. But we do really want to see a future where evaluation is generating new original data and content, where it's synthesizing existing evidence and it's drawing on these various types of data that are being generated through monitoring systems and increasingly through technology-based platforms. But what this really speaks to is a world that we are dreaming together. And as we dream this stuff together, I think we start to make it real. And we're getting a clearer sense of what that future looks like. It's a future where country governments are strong and committed to evaluation, where they create pathways in for people they think are important. Serge was on the chat asking about Indigenous evaluators. And of course, Indigenous people bring such value. They understand the natural world in ways that people like myself, a white middle-aged man, I don't understand. And so what we need to be drawing on is all of these different types of wisdom, all of this different kind of insight that is going to be valuable to us. And what that means is that we need to continue this dreaming together. We need to continue to talk together. And for me, as the program manager of the GEI, I'm so heartened by the fact that we've managed to have over 150 people on this call. And I think what it really is talking to is a commitment that we are making and that we feel you are making to be doing this work together. And the relationship that we have with the Independent Evaluation Office at the UNDP is so critical, because the UNDP brings that trusted development partner consciousness, and it's enormously helpful to us. But I feel like I'm starting to ramble on a little bit, so I'm going to hand back to Patricia. Thank you so much. It's been a really great session. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Zugan. Thank you, Isabel. And yes, we had at a certain point 250 participants connected at the same time. So thank you very much. It was a great session and with great participation. we will be posting the recording, the PowerPoints, and the summary of the webinar on betterevaluation.org. But you will also receive this information in your inbox because you registered for the event. So thank you again, and I'll see you in 6 months for the NEC+18 event. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.